Hello, welcome to another video on the Scouring Early Access. Today's match is going to be a 4 versus 4 match, but this time I'm not going to be playing because this came from a part-timer. He sent me the replays and it was a pretty interesting match, so that's why we're going to be watching it today. Anyways, on this team it's going to be part-timer, Raspova, Dutchy, and Hamon of Assess against Detona, Tetonka, Bubbas, and Vinci Code. And of course over here on this team is on the right half of the map. The first player, part-timer, is playing as the purple humans. And it does look like he's going for the dwarf build order, but with his little variation of this build where he makes it a bit safer, or make a smithy and a guard tower, and he try to get a ballista out here, so in case you're a little rushed, you can somewhat defend your base. And next to him, the orange player, Dutchy, playing as orcs. Looks like he's making a logging camp first into 2 farms. So he's probably going to be making a barracks. And on top here, the black player, Hamon of Assess, playing as humans. And unlike part-timers build, it makes a very safe build order. This is a more standard build where you try to get a smithy, a sawmill, then you can get a farm, and then you can get your dwarven tavern. But he's more in the back, so that's why it's a bit easier for him to do. But we can actually see he does make a cannon. So he is expecting to be attacked, I guess. So it's gonna keep him safe. Anyways, over here, the last player on this team, Raspova. He's playing as a blue humans. And it looks like he did the usual barracks into farms with some swordsman production. And over here, this is the other team. The yellow player, Vinci Code, playing as humans. Looks like he made a barracks, sawmill, 2 farms, and he's going for a archer focused build. And next to him is the white player, Bubbas, playing as white orcs. And it does look like he's going for a good amount of warriors, but it does look like he stopped some production, so maybe he's thinking of doing a fast tier 2 because of this logging camp here as well. It's gonna provide him with a lot of wood. Next to him, the red player, playing as humans, is Detona. Looks like he's doing a barracks, a lot of swordsmen, and then into a sawmill. And over here, the final player, Tetonka, playing as a Cyan orc, is doing a barracks, a good handful of warriors, and now he's going to heavier archer production. So over here, the purple player is ready, killing some bulls with his dwarfs, and of course, in their melee mode, they're going to be leveling up very quickly. And over here, you can see the Cyan player. He is the map creator, and so he doesn't know where all these trolls are at. And over here, this is a more newer player, Detona, so he is mostly defending his base. This is Bubbas. He's more of a, I guess, very good player. But he mostly plays a lot of ranked matches or one-on-one. It's not really, I guess, familiar with team games as much. Over here, this is Vinci. He's also a very good player. And then Donk is also a very good player. He's very macro focused player. So on this team, we have a pretty good player, pretty noobish player, and a very great player, a very good player as well. The enemy team, a blue player, is more of a new player as well. So that's why Yo is bullying him here with his archers. Yeah, and one of his sis is more of a good to medium player, I guess. Over here, orange player, Dutchy, is more a newer player as well, but he does have pretty good, I guess, macro knowledge. And here, the part-timer is also a pretty good player. And so, this game is kind of unbalanced with the left team having all the good players, 3 of them, and the other team only has 2 good players. So, it's going to be a pretty interesting match. You can see here, the goblins are already here, making it too much on the dwarves of a purple player. And over here, purple even fights the warriors of the Bubba's player, or the white player. And it does look like he went for a fast muncher cave and a second barracks, so he can start producing all the munchers. You can see here, the newer player is having some trouble with this troll. I guess he didn't realize he can get some potions from this potion crate. And of course, this is the hardest script to get used to, especially if you're new. So he's having some fun with these goblins. See over here, a black player and Monov also has all the dwarfs, similar to the purple player. So they're trying to level up their dwarves. Over here looks like Dutchy already made an expansion. Our barracks. The Tonk over here already has an expansion. And over here he tried to fight these neutral hostile enemies here, but this is because of this bastion. So on a block chance, so his archers are going to be a little inefficient against these enemy archers. So this was a bit of a mistake. So he does lose a good amount of units here. And on top here we can see the white player is already killing some wolves. Killed a troll probably. So he's going to be trying to level up his munchers. See Dutchy has all the warriors. It's going for tier 2. There's a second barracks. Looks like part-timer, it's just mass producing all the dwarves. It's 2 safe ballistas. Yellow is still bullying the noob here, like the heartless monster that he is. In the meantime, I guess it looks like orange and black. They'll be trying to go to the top here to help out their ally. It's getting bullied here. On the left here, you can see red and white working together to take out this bastion and all these other neutrals. And of course, in the meantime, the purple player decides to attack the side player here. But the side player did go into a heavier archer focused build. And so he's going to be having a lot of trouble with dealing with all these dwarves. Because the right counter to them is to make all the warriors, even with your double barracks production. And over here on top, the black and orange players are taking their revenge on behalf of the blue player. So now I'm going to be attacking the yellow player. On the bottom here, you can see a purple player is already on top of the barracks of the enemy. But there are more reinforcements here of orange. And for some reason, the white player decides to retreat and pretty much leave his ally to die here. I guess now he's running back. But now there's just a lot of melee units that can just hide on top of these buildings. And so these munchers are going to have a pretty hard time with catching all of them. And you can see here, munchers, pretty powerful units, but when faced with other dwarves, they're going to have trouble killing them because they're going to get target fired, of course. So you want to try to get the rage ability. This way your munchers are going to be just melting all these dwarves. Looks like over here, the white bear made an expansion. He's already complaining about the dwarves, but he's not really doing anything to actually counter them. And so now the white bear is just going to leave his sign ally to die. And of course with these cannons, this sign player is not going to be alive for much longer. Anyways, in the meantime here, on top, the yellow player is still hovering over the blue player. Teach him a lesson. Just keeping him at bay. And over here, sign player is still dying, but over here, the white player does decide to go around to maybe kill some reinforcements, or to maybe try and run into an expansion that is very undefended. And you can see here the purple player is already moving on to kill the next base here. And there's pretty much no one coming to save the side player. And on the bottom here you can see the munchers of the white player beginning to kill all of these workers on this expansion. They're going to be killing even more of these workers from this new player. So now he's trying to hastily build a bow research. But of course, the white player is going to focus this bastion down. And eventually he's going to be kind of in trouble. He's even killing all these workers. And of course, all these hungry warriors are not going to really stand much of a chance against these munchers. In the meantime, of course, the white player sends some munchers into the black player's base. So now he also loses a lot of workers. While in the meantime, orange is pretty much dead. Now here we can see where it is trying to help his ally out a bit. He has a very small army. Looks like purple already destroyed his base. Looks like on top here, the black player decides to attack the yellow player. Of course, he has all the dwarves. And similar to the cyan player, the yellow player had all the archers. And so he's going to be having a hard time defending his base. Especially with these filthy dwarves going on top of these buildings and just very easily destroying them. On the bottom here you can see an expansion was destroyed by the white player. Orange pretty much has a handful of workers in the base. But of course, the goblin waves are going to be spawning pretty soon. It's like the white player is trying to focus his fort. So it does look like he's going to be taking it down, because there are no workers repairing it. But it does look like he's going to be losing quite a good amount of munchers here, thanks to these cannons. And of course, in the meantime, while white is over here, he kind of didn't want to fight these dwarves, because he's going to be getting target fired by these dwarves. So instead of fighting, he decides to retreat. But of course, he still had a bastion. Still didn't get to tier 3. And so he's kind of never going to be able to fight dwarves head on unless you get their rage ability. So you can see here, purple still chugging along, breaking more bases. He's going to be hiding on top of his enemy barracks. So he's going to be fighting it out. In the meantime, of course, the goblin waves begin spawning. Sekiel is a bit in trouble, because there's 2 waves attacking him. The blue player is going to be having some trouble as well. It's not really hiding his units on top of his roofs. Looks like orange is pretty much dead. And of course, the purple's wave is here as well. He doesn't really have much of an army to help his ally. But he could have at least taken the attention of these goblins to maybe bait him into his fort, try and save his orange ally, but I guess he just decides to let him die. But of course, in the meantime, he was in a bit of trouble here, thanks to these munchers. So this base is probably going to go down. And so he was dealing with his own little issues here. On the top here, looks like red player has a lot of workers here, but I guess a few of them died. And thanks to this Stark Tower, these bases in the back can be somewhat safe. But it does look like the white player still not really getting a tier 3. Top here, the sign player is still somehow alive, surprisingly. So he has a base, a logging camp, and a handful of workers. And over here we can see purple is in a whole lot of trouble. All his units are dying. Even the goblins here are actually somewhat saving him here, because the white player is going to have to be fighting them as well. Because when the trolls are shot from the top of the buildings, we prioritize punching all the units on the low ground. So they're going to be chasing the white player around at this time. But I guess he does decide to target down these trolls. And now it's going to be destroying this fort. So the purple player doesn't really have much to save himself at this point. But of course, in the meantime, he did somehow find the white player's base. And now the white player doesn't really have much to defend himself here, because these dwarfs have all the health, all the armor. So they're going to be chopping away quite a substantial amount of workers. And of course, in the meantime, purple player is still alive. There's a few workers. His final base is about to be destroyed by the white player. But here, his savior, Mr. Almanov, or the black player, is here to help him out, to try and push away these very powerful munchers. But of course, these goblins, of course, are going to be munching him a little bit. But his hero is a little confused. His purple told him to attack white, but then he kind of left him to die. But then purple asked for help. Now these goblins are going to be just munching away all these workers. So purple is going to be, a bit of a pickle. Especially for all these goblin archers. Also going to be shooting at them. There you have it. Over here, the white player still running around with his munchers. Maybe trying to attack the black player again. But black player did get a fort again. A few more cannons. And over here, the orange player did eventually get eliminated. Now, top of a map, we can see the black player is eventually running to the white player's base, because it does look like he is a bigger threat. But it is thanks to the purple player who found his base. And so now it's going to be a big fight. All these munchers and all these swordsmen from the red player. So this is pretty much the end of the road for the white player. There's very few workers left. And this horde of dwarves is going to be his undoing. And of course you can hide your dwarves on top of these roofs. It's going to make it very easy to shoot down any enemies. And of course to destroy these buildings when you're on top of them. But of course you do have to manually tell them to attack mode these buildings for them to be destroyed. But it does look like the white player is pretty much gonna be dying here. So these dwarfs are gonna be munching away this base, eventually killing this red base as well. And here the white player tries to run away, make another base. In the meantime, these 4 goblins, the black left for his ally, are still killing him here. And these neutral goblins are also making him have some fun. On top here, the noob, Mr. Blue, still fighting against the yellow player. The yellow player did lose a whole base, all the buildings, and so he is more defensive at this time. And the side player is still surprisingly alive, still mining, even has a second base. But he's not building a barracks, not really sure why. Over here we can see the white player trying to take revenge once again against the purple player this time, because it was purple player's fault for finding out his little base on the top of the map. And yes, it does look like over here the red player is going to be destroyed by all these dwarves, and this dark tower is going to be falling into the hands of a black player. And of course, over here, unfortunately for the white player, the purple player somehow finds his final base. And so the rest of the army of the white player is now turned into neutral enemies. So this very mess of a game, I guess you could say, turns into a 3v3 still. But purple's pretty much dead. He's gonna have to rely on his black ally to defend him against the goblin waves. Because of course, goblin waves spawn if you meet the criteria to have a town hall. But if you don't have a town hall, then your goblin wave is not going to be spawning to munch on you at nighttime. I guess right here, maybe it was a little misclick. No, black player just leave this dark tower instead of capturing it. In the meantime, looks like cyan and yellow working together, making on bastions, some barracks, trying to get some defenses against some orcs. Yellow is still defending. Oh no, here I guess he had a big fight against some blue player. But thanks to his yellow cannons, he was able to take care of his army. Over here, black player is here, mining some gold as well. So is blue. So it's good to work together. And over here, the black player listened to the purple player's advice to try and kill the cyan player. So it's kind of rebuilding. And coincidentally, it's going to be in the direction of the yellow player, who's the next strongest player. And so, of course, this is going to be good priority. But of course, right now, goblin waves begin spawning. I guess it's night 3. So there's 3 trolls per wave, per player. But of course, the blue player gets 2 waves, which is quite unfortunate for him. So he's going to be eventually dying because it's more of a new player. So he doesn't really use his workers to defend himself. But over here, of course, it's going to be 2 waves as well for the yellow player and the cyan player. And on the bottom, we can see the few little dwarfs the black player had here were not enough to defend his purple ally. At this point, I think part-timer doesn't have enough resources to even make another base. So he might eventually get eliminated if he doesn't do anything about running away. And over here, I think yellow loses a bastion, a fort. Red's gonna lose his base, and his main base got punched away as well. So it does look like the goblins are the ones winning this game. Looks like over here, the black player was fighting a little bit, but eventually decides to retreat to try and save his base here, of course. Because he doesn't really have much of an army here to defend himself. If he doesn't stop these goblins, then he's gonna eventually die. So this was a good decision to try and take care of this before going on offensive. We try and take care of the few enemies left. Looks like purple still has a handful of dwarves here. But it does look like the pesky munchers, the goblins, are going to be fighting his last 2 buildings. So eventually, he is going to be eliminated. But I guess in his final moments of defiance, he's going to be running on top here to try and attack the cyan player's units. You can see here the cyan player and the yellow player barely survived themselves here against the goblin waves. They don't have really much of an army. So now the black player, I guess, tried to go save his purple ally here, but purple doesn't really have much of anything left. All his final workers are going to be dying, potentially. And his few dwarves is all he has pretty much left. But I guess this is a little interesting. The black player didn't decide to save his ally, even though he just has a single worker left. So at this point, all the goblins are being taken care of. So the black player is the final player to have some kind of army to try and take care of the last 2 enemy players. But of course, you can see here, pesky goblins from these dark towers in each corner didn't kill a few of his workers. Feisto has a huge army, a lot of potions, and his main force is going to be running to the north to finish the job that they started. Looks like over here, purple still fighting on. It's gonna be fighting to the end here. Let's find a few dwarves. You are hungry. Trying to hide on this little guard tower. And so now they're gonna be cut down by the cyan and the yellow enemies. Fighting their final moments for the glory of the Dwarven Empire. And over here, a huge sea of dwarves. We're now going to be coming up to the gates of the Yale Prayers base. Yes, here. It's going to be marching. In the meantime, the side player decided to run here to see if purple's still alive, but doesn't really know that purple's pretty much dead. She has a few guard towers. No more units left. So this is small. Pretty much more of a bait here, I guess. And enemies took it. And now it's going to be too late for them to fight against a huge army of dwarfs. But of course, especially because the black bear did have some reinforcing cannons. Even a final little worker of a purple player is making a guard tower to try and help out his black ally. But over here we can see yellow doesn't have much of an army. So the ballistas. And so these big fat dwarfs are going to be eventually destroying his base. But of course, yellow is not a quitter, so he is going to be fighting to the last. But I guess it looks like there was a little bit of a disturbance. Probably the main base of a black player. And that is true. The cyan player, the yellow player, decided to attack his main base with very low level units. So technically, the black player could have just survived with his few dwarves here. But he does decide to have an insurance policy of killing all these enemies first before finishing the job at the enemy base. So I can see here, the cyan player pretty much loses the last of his warriors. Couldn't really kill this base. So he does decide to surrender with a base and 2 barracks and some workers that he had left. Looks like over here, the black bear did leave a small amount of dwarves to try and finish the job. Even purple's here, fighting on and trying to assist his ally. But of course, it is going to be nighttime, and the goblin waves are going to be spawning. But like I mentioned before, you need a town hall for your wave to spawn. And does look like yellow, only has all the guard towers. And the sneaky little guard tower here. So his wave is not going to be spawning. And so this night, yellow loses the rest of his army. The black player is going to be the only player. It's going to have to deal with a goblin wave. And of course, it's going to be night 4, I think. So 4 big trolls. Even more stabby goblins. But of course, yellow doesn't want to surrender. maybe being a little stubborn. He doesn't want to admit defeat. But I guess that just, it is what it is. It's being a little funny here. He's telling the bike player to surrender. But of course, he's not going to be doing that. So at this point, I guess I'm going to speed up a little bit. Oh, now here you can see the goblin waves. Begins to spawn. Try and kill the bike player here. But of course, it's going to destroy his expansion first, before going for his main base. You can see these dwarves hanging around, enjoying some drinks, while these pesky goblins are scaring them away. Over here, the goblins finally arrive. But of course, now they're going to be facing the metal of the dwarves. Of course, there's a huge amount of goblins. But there's a lot of these high-level dwarves here, so eventually the bike player is going to be taking them down. So there you have it. Pretty much the last enemy that was going to be stopping the bike player got defeated. The goblins. At this point, Black player just has to find the last little guard tower of the yellow player. You can see here, Black player is still going to be running around, trying to find the final building. So he's going to be checking the expansion of the yellow player. I guess the other surrounding areas. Potentially this base. So he does eventually find his final tower. The yellow player is now going to be defeated. So there you have it. That's pretty much it. Let's see the replay. I mean the results. You can see here, this team didn't really mind that much compared to the enemy team, especially the sign player. Mind a lot, made a lot of units, but he did somehow manage to lose a lot of units. Maybe because he's made a lot of archers and warriors without any shields, so the huge armies of dwarves from the black player and the purple player managed to take care of any enemies on the enemy side. Here, the white player, Bubba's, had one of the munchers, which allowed him to get a lot of kills. Kill a lot of warriors, a lot of bases, but he did one mistake by just never getting to tier 3. Never getting the muncher rage ability, which is a basic counter to dwarves. This angry muncher spam is going to be melting away any dwarves, even if they're level 3. There you have it. It's the power of dwarves. The two big main players were able to somehow defeat everyone else. Power of crossbow and axe. Anyways, if you liked the video, leave a like, leave a comment. If you want to see more videos on the Scouring early access, and then you can subscribe. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.